People who stand up immediately after the plane lands even though you are 30 rows deep. Why?
A better question might be, people in the front of the plane, why the hell does it take you so long to get out the door? They stand up, try to go back 7 rows to get their overhead bag, take a jacket out, take time putting it on, put their other shit away, brush away the salt from their free peanuts, fix their hair, tie their shoes, etc., while the rest of us stand there, in row 30, waiting 20 minutes to get off a damn plane. Exclamation mark.
As a former business traveler, 2 reasons. 1. Stretch legs. 2. Block the rude people behind who will push their way past you.
To get my knees out of the spine of the guy in front of me and to get feeling back in my legs.
I stand up, but don't leave my seating area because I just sat for multiple hours.
My thought process has always been to be prepared to move as soon as it's okay to move out. If I'm sitting, I'm not ready at the moment it's time to move.
In Israel, the locals have a nasty habit of jumping to their feet before the plane has reached the gate. On an El Al flight, the cabin supervisor made a PA. Please remain seated until the aircraft reaches the gate. For those of you already standing, welcome home. For those of you seated, please enjoy your visit to Tel Aviv.
For me, it's a courtesy thing. When my turn comes, I am 100% ready. I am not fumbling with bags, or otherwise dawdling. I'm trying to do my part to get everyone off the plane as quickly as possible. I also always get a seat near the front, though.
Better question, people that stand in the middle of the aisle and take 15 minutes to put your bag in the overhead while 100 people wait to board the plane. Why?
This is a little different than 1 or 2 people standing up to stretch, but had a flight into ATL once. The moment we landed, the typical happened where a couple people stood up and with that half the aircraft followed suit. However, the captain was having none of it and just stopped the plane in the middle of the taxiway and said over the speaker, "Ladies and gentlemen, for your safety I have stopped the aircraft and will remain stopped until everyone has taken their seat." The uproar was amazing, but I'm going to miss my flight, blah blah blah. I don't think people realize it's a safety issue if they are all standing while we are still moving to the gate. What if he has to slam the brakes or make a sharper turn? Then they had the audacity to start opening the overheads for their luggage. So that killed about 30 minutes of just sitting there that could have gone towards making their connections. And ATL is a huge airport for those who don't know, with these super long hallways that connect the concourses together. It's understandable to get up and stretch, but the flight crew gave us that opportunity before we started descending to final approach, and of course nobody took it. So as a result of this whole mess, deplaning also took longer because of everyone having to stuff their things back in the overheads in a rush. Then they had to pull it out again when we got to the gate, except this time they were pissed off. So ladies and gentlemen who stand up immediately after landing, please reconsider in the future.
Because I've got nothing in the overhead bins, let me the fuck out.
Stretch my legs.
Also, if I have overhead baggage and within reaching distance, I'll try to get it so that when the aisle is clear for me, I can leave quickly. Would you prefer for me to not be prepared to leave until the aisle clears? Then I'll be holding everyone up while I'm getting my stuff ready to go.
Can we talk about the fuckwits who stand right up close to the baggage carousel? Yes. All 95% of you dicks.
Perfect time to go to the bathroom while everyone is distracted.
I'm over 6 feet tall and in economy, and I have had 3 knee surgeries. I have to stay limber. But I will always move out of the way for people if I can, or if the FA says to sit back down. No need to be a dick in a situation like that.
Because I need to stretch, and also because I'm terrified of flying and it feels amazing to be on solid ground again. Little of column A, little of column B depending on the day.
To stretch my legs.
I don't try to move out of my seat though, I reckon that's where the truly anal are displayed.
I get the leg stretching argument, but I always laugh watching the people in the window seats get up and stand there hunched over for 10 minutes because there's nowhere to move and the ceiling is super low.
I was on an Emirates flight a few months ago. We were quite delayed, and I was close to the back. A couple passengers got up as we got to the gate and then just rudely pushed all the way to the front, while we were waiting for doors to open. I get it, you have a tight connection, but we are landing at one of the world's biggest transfer hubs. Half the plane has a tight connection. What makes you more important than the rest of us? Worst of all, I saw that group later. Turned out they were on the same connecting flight as myself, and had about 2 hours to connect, plenty of time.
On a similar note, I don't understand the people who line up in huge lines to board the plane before their section has even been called. I mean, why stand in a huge line so you can leave the spacious airport gate and get onto an uncomfortable plane as soon as possible? Everyone is getting on the plane, no need to go crazy trying to be the first to get on.
What is even better is when the plane stops but the seatbelt light is still on and people get up anyways. Ever think that maybe they had to stop for some other reason? I worked the ramp and had a plane that needed to stop 10 feet short of the stop mark, then had to wait 10 minutes for everyone to get back into their seat with their belts on, before it could move forward to fully get into the gate so people could get off.
Here is some important advice for all the Americans, because I have the experience they do this mostly. When the plane lands and rolls to the gate and the belt sign is still on, keep your belt on. Why? I once was on a flight to Chicago and on the last 50 yards in front of the gate, when everyone thinks they're smart by already getting up and grabbing their bags, the pilot had to emergency brake because someone drove in front of the plane, I assume baggage cart. You could feel the whole plane lift up. Outcome? Some 10 people had to be hospitalized because they were flying through the cabin or were hit by flying baggage. The morons who stood up already pulled out or were about to pull out from the overhead compartments. Hence, keep your fucking belts on. Exiting a plane isn't a race.
People who clap on landing are committing real crime.
You think I'm gonna let the old bitch that is sitting behind me exit the plane first? Over my dead fucking body.
I still don't understand why it takes so goddamn long for people to leave the plane. You have a bag. You put the bag in the overhead bin. When the plane lands, you take the bag out. You leave. Fucking people turn it into a religious experience.
The dude next to you smells.
I am 6 feet 4 inches. So, I cannot physically fit in the seat without some minor act of contortion. It is better for me to not be able to fully stand up than for me to be twisted and jammed into the tiny seats. I sit with the other few who think they're better than everyone, and we share smirks with each other. These people, am I right?
ITT, to stretch my legs.
The arthritis doesn't like when I've had my leg joints in the same position for multiple hours. It's either stretch and put everything back to rights before I start trying to walk, or subluxating my hip on the way off the aircraft and scaring all the old PPL when I fall down lol.
I generally stay put on most flights unless they're long haul. I make it a point to go to the bathroom nearest the gate before boarding, have everything I need within reach once I do board so that I don't have to get up. I'm 6 feet 4 inches, 1.93 meters tall, so by the time that light goes off I definitely need a stretch. I always stay out of the aisle and wait my turn, but goddammit I've earned my stretch.
I can't stand the people in the front row who take literally a couple minutes just to get their asses off the plane. Sure, there are exceptions, especially for disabled passengers, but for those who are able-bodied, getting your suitcase out of the overhead storage * isn't that hard. *. I saw this thread sitting in the airport waiting for my plane. Just landed. I am the very last row. Stood up to spite. Less than 3.
Normally to ensure everybody knows they have small nipples.
It's hard to murder the kid who was screaming the entire flight while remaining seated. Because this one time, United changed my connecting flights terminal at Newark and I was getting ready to sprint for my life.
Stretch my legs.
Because people enjoy a perception of progress. Standing gives you a perception that you're closer to the exit than sitting. Getting on a plane as soon as possible makes you feel like you're closer to your destination. It's human psychosis, not a type A, B thing.
super late to this party, but I am an anxious person and want to get off the plane as fast as humanly possible. Not to mention that I'm usually in pain from sitting, regardless of the length of the flight, due to my rheumatoid arthritis. I feel like an asshole sometimes because I will not only stand but try and move forward before other people get a chance to stand. I usually try to get a seat as close to the front of the plane as possible, but sometimes it just doesn't work out. Having to wait for everyone to fuck around getting all their shit together to get off the plane stresses me out terribly, and I can never find a comfortable standing or sitting position. I wish boarding and deplaning were more orderly.
I like to assert my dominance. I usually get the aisle seat, so I like to get up and establish my space in the aisle because God knows no one else will let me by.
Because I broke my femur 7 years ago and sitting in a cramped airplane for any length of time causes a great deal of pain.
I would want to stretch.
I have always had this problem. Premature evacuation.
It's just a part of my routine now. After that, I like to stop in my tracks directly after leaving the gate to block it and check my phone. Then I use said phone to FaceTime someone in the terminal and have an incredibly, uncomfortably personal conversation on speakerphone. After that, I like to spend a little time with my feet propped on my luggage nearly in a walkway, after having taken off my shoes and socks.
Peer pressure. Everybody else starts getting up.
From a mathematical standpoint, there is a small chance every person on the plane ahead of me is either sleeping or unaware we are at the gate, and if I move fast I can grab my bag and run off the plane. In every case so far this has not happened, but if I sat back down everyone would have immediately been aware of my plan and the embarrassing fact I'd been thwarted. Because it's a race.
When I fly United, I'd prefer to be standing when possible. It's a better strategic defensive stance.
Anxiety, claustrophobia kicks in, so standing up allows for the possibility of getting off the plane faster.
I was near the back of the plane when a lady behind me tried to push her way forward saying she has a plane to catch. People were not buying it and stood in the center aisle not letting her pass.
I'm flying coach. My ass, back, and legs hurt. Mind your business.
I don't mind people standing up. It's the people that try and jump the rows ahead of them that are fucking assholes. Just wait until your row is next. We all have to be somewhere, too.
Because other people do it, it's essentially mad.
To stretch my legs. And also so I can watch the debarkation process to angrily judge those doing it wrong and making it unnecessarily inefficient. Why is it taking you so long to get your bag down? Get moving, dickbag, and adjust your straps elsewhere.
Better question, when retrieving your bags from the baggage carousel, why do you insist on standing directly next to the conveyor rather than 2 paces away so that others can retrieve their bags?
Consider subscribing.